Hello, everybody, and welcome to this showcase race, introducing the Mega Man 10 tournament here on Speed Gaming. We're going to have a race today between nuuu and btfm, two veterans of the game, two great players. I'm Mr. Cab, joined by Mist66. How's it going tonight, Mist?
Pretty nice.
So, yeah, we're going to have this race here. For those who are just becoming aware of this, the Speed Gaming fans out there, this is Mega Man 10. You might have heard of it. It was released in 2010. We're having a tournament that begins in about 2 weeks. Today's January 16th, at least here in North America, and our signups are going through next week on Saturday. I believe you said it was the 22nd?
Yeah, I believe it's 22nd.
22nd. Don't worry too much about the exact date, but definitely sign up as soon as you can. There is still plenty of time to get in here. Official tournament races will be starting about a week after that. And yeah, Mega Man 10 is an awesome game. So without further ado, and without wasting everybody's time too much, I'm going to let our racers know they can get started. Mist, if you want to hype things up a little more, feel free.
No problem. So this, as mentioned earlier, this isn't an actual match in the Mega Man 10 tournament. Instead, this is a bit of intros to hype up the actual event in a couple weeks. It's going to... Currently, I believe that the entry pool is at roughly 20, so there will be a lot of different runners of a lot of different skill levels, just joining together and just seeing who is the top Mega Man 10 runner in this fun marathon you only get one real chance scenario. In the meantime, I'll go into a bit of detail about the general routing through the run. So, this is a Mega Man game, so you can play through any of the 8 Robot Master Stages in any order. This run, well, particularly this category, some other categories do other routes, but any percent Mega Man normal always starts with Pump Man. For one, just like in Mega Man 9, you get the Rush Jet after a set number of stages. In Mega Man 9 it was 5, here it's 4. By following the weakness order from Pump Man to Solar Man to Chill Man to Nitro Man, the 4 stages that come after that benefit the most from having Rush Jet, particularly Commando Man and Blade Man.
Oh my goodness, Blade Man.
Yeah, it's quite a stage. It's also the number 1 happening place for instant death spikes, so yeah.
And they're off. I totally agree with you there. Blade Man is the run killer, and I guess we will talk about that more when we get there. But like you said, Pump Man is first.
Yes. Being the first stage, this is basically a buster-only run with just maybe one use of Rush Coil early on to go up a ladder a bit faster. Actually, that provides a pretty good window to talking about the key mechanic of Mega Man 10 speedruns, that being quick weapon swapping. You won't be seeing it a lot in this stage for obvious reasons, but it allows you to quickly switch between all 8 weapons and your 2 rush upgrades, making this run pretty fast, as you don't need to worry about trying to do some segments with just the buster because of the time you would have otherwise lost having to open up the pause menu.
Which is really good. It does bring Rush into the run a lot more. It brings really all the weapons back into a run. You see that a lot between all the classic NES games versus anything with fast weapon swapping. They are working their way through a current room here. They are being pushed back to the left. There was a screen earlier they were being pushed to the right. The other gimmick, as it were, of Pump Man stage. Now, there's our one. Say hi to Rush, everybody. They'll be here a lot today. On to Pump Man from there. Pump Man himself has a shield weapon. It's just like pretty much a lot of Mega Man bosses that have a shield. There's a spot where you can stand, get Mega Man's arm kind of inside the shield without taking damage, and keep hitting Pump Man. Every time he fires that shield, you should be able to get about 6 points of damage in. You see runners either mash their way through the shots from there, or otherwise kind of take a hit to make it that much easier to get inside Pump Man's shield while he's jumping around. Pump Man can be a bit of a threat. nuuu, hang in there. Oh no!
Ooh. Yeah, it bears mentioning that each of Pumpman's shield has 4 bubbles, and each of them has 4 hit points, and Mega Buster deals 1 damage, so if your mash is fast enough, you can just manually remove the bubbles by yourself. Because of the time it takes, it's inferior to the proper spacing of just stand really close but not too close. But it's still a reasonable backup.
Yeah, and you can even kind of see here as like nuuu takes out some of the bubbles in the shield, that makes it so that there's less shots exploding off of him, which makes it that much easier to dodge as well. There's an E-Tank in Pumpman Stage 2. It doesn't take that much time to grab it. Obviously, in a speedrun, you just don't want to have to use it. I'm sure like a lot of top runners, especially, just not used to going for it. We'll see who goes for it in a tournament setting later on. But BT is in Solar Man stage now, and this is a great stage with great music.
Yes, I believe that he has it marked down on his splits as Rush Coil stage, and
Yeah.
it's definitely that. There are multiple vertical sections where he'll be doing Rush Coil jumps, some tight, some not, in order to save time. And it also has a side effect of looking really cool.
I'm going to admit I don't know the lore enough to know the Phoenix's names. It's in the challenge, but birds are jerks.
Yeah,
they can kind of fly around and just stay out of range for a long time, but once they come down, they are very easy to knock out with Pump Shield or a few other weapons, as we'll see.
Yeah, I believe their names are Suzak and Phoenix. No clue which one's the purple one and which one's the orange. But
Sounds
yeah,
about right.
They can give 3 patterns. One of them's of course the best pattern. The second is only a second or 2 faster, and the third one sucks.
That's about right. Here's the real sort of vertical climb that BT is in now. You can see switching back and forth between Rush Coil and other weapons. Just that much easier to get up the ladders that much faster. This isn't a pause, go to the menu Mega Man game, so we can actually use Rush Coil a lot and not have to worry about other screens summoning Rush to use the Buster. And then what do you do from there?
Yeah. Meanwhile, BT's entering the Solar Man fight, and the interesting thing about the Water Shield, each individual bubble deals damage. And that damage, and since it's Solar Man's weakness, each individual bubble will deal 6 damage. So you only need 5 hits, and you have 2 shields to work with. As long as it's... Solar Man has 3 separate patterns, well, rather, a different jump each time. But
yeah,
as long as you know what to do, it's basically free.
The giant sun on top of Solar Man's head does absorb shots without taking damage. That's probably the hardest part of that fight. Coming in here with 2 is obviously the speed strat. You're seeing both the runners here do it. It is obviously possible to just not use some of those pump shields through the stage, come in with more, so you can have a backup of a 3rd pump shield to use in that fight. But yeah, Solar Man, like you're saying, if you can get in there and know the pattern, it's a pretty free fight. It's just a little tricky sometimes. But Chill Man's probably the first like actual kind of weird tech thing going on stage in this run. And that's without talking about the boss. These ice cubes you're seeing, every time you land on them or shoot one, it'll crack or get destroyed. So you're seeing the runners here use the pump shield, the water shield, to kind of crack the ice faster and just get down that much faster, navigating the spikes and the shield attackers. There's a nice long room here, but after this, they're going to have another set of vertical screens with a couple of uses of Rush Coil, but also we're going to start seeing Solar Blaze in action.
Solar Blaze is a weapon is a tale of 2 weapons. The first one is a projectile that goes out a short distance and then stays, and then basically just hovers there for a moment. After that, or when the projectile hits an enemy, it'll break into 2 projectiles, slightly larger, that go out left and right, and then damage anyone there.
BT's having a really clean last screen. Those missiles plus those little hoppers, which are coming down, and like I said, they will also break the ice. It's like very mean of the game that they put them there. And here's Chill Man, probably one of the most annoying bosses in this game.
Yeah, it's a pretty technical fight, because if you just use normal solar flares, solar blazes, then it takes forever for them to clear off screen. So as you saw BT just do, he would fire a solar blaze, then immediately switch to a nearby weapon, and the weapon wheel, switch back, and fire again. In Mega Man 10, and 9 for that matter, invincibility frames last for a whopping 20 frames, or 1/3 of a second. So, because that happens to be about the same time it takes him to fire the weapon, switch again, and then shoot again, it makes for a pretty demanding fight. Meanwhile, nuuu
You're just kind of showing off there how the those hoppers will destroy ice blocks. That last screen is one of the most annoying screens in this entire game. And I do want to welcome everybody from SpeedGaming. I think they're coming here from Mario Odyssey Single Bingo. Another great game if you're looking for more fun tournaments to keep an eye on. BT now in Nitro Man stage, some of the best music in the game. We should. I almost want to stop talking, but you should just find this soundtrack later and listen to Nitro Man for an hour. You'll love it. You can see already we're using the chill spikes here. Chill Man's weapon is another. It's one of the weapons in this game. There's a pattern that seems to form where it's the indirect attack. You don't want to hit with the actual shot. You want to hit with the sort of after effect. In this case, these spikes that form on the ground. There's 4 corridors where you see those buses kind of coming through. And the ones where they go with you, it's much faster to ride them. The one where you're going against traffic, destroy the trucks.
Yeah, the trucks are in fact only weak to the chill spike. That's actually a fun bonus where the chill spike is also Nitro Man's weakness, so having it makes the stage easier in more ways than one.
Indeed, and chill spike is a weapon, oh my goodness, where it doesn't use a lot of ammo, so you do get a lot of it. Get all 28 shots there. That spike fall, not nearly as bad as it looks, kind of squeezing between the spikes and the bomb, just hold against that platform. This stage is just a lot of fun. Solar Blaze just destroying everything in its path, taking out those kind of turret cannons in one shot, rather than destroying the bottom and the cannon flies away. So here's Nitro Man.
Yeah, Nitro Man has 2 patterns. He can drive on the ground, or he can drive on the ground, he can throw wheel cutters, or he can hop in the air and throw wheel cutters. As BT just masterfully executed, you really want him to be on the ground, because the shell spike's projectile deals only 1 damage, but that spike part of it, once it hits the surface, you can also use it against the wall, and if it's low enough, it'll harm him then. Anyway, you really want to hit him with the spike part, but the execution is pretty tight, and BT just nailed it.
Yeah, Nitro Man will drive back and forth up to 3 times. You want to have chill spikes on the ground for him every moment of that, just so he keeps running them over, keeps taking damage. There's like a kind of a magic pixel distance from him where you can shoot the spikes, and the spikes sort of extend into him as they form to deal the spike damage. You don't want to have to rely on that, but it is kind of fun to pull off.
Yeah.
And then now for actually the easiest stage in this game, it's Commando Man.
Yep, Commando Man is the first stage where you get Rush Jet, because, as I mentioned earlier, after defeating 4 Robot Masters, Rush Jet is gifted to you. This is particularly critical in Commando Man's stage, because, as you'll see in this screen, there are these sandstorms which have wind effects and white out the screen. They can go in both directions. This sandstorm is a nice one, pushing Mega Man to the right. However, later in the stage, there's going to be a sandstorm that pushes Mega Man to the left. However, you can avoid that effect if Mega Man is off-screen.
Shoutouts to those bolts in the sand.
Yep, no one ever picks them up. But yeah, being off-screen negates the effect, so if you just take Rush Coil, fly to the top of the screen, you'll fly forward as if there wasn't a sandstorm.
Yeah, so
that allows... That, when combined with the fact that you don't need to bother seeing where you're going amidst the whiteout effect of the sandstorm.
So you just saw BT ride Rush Jet kind of over the top of the screen there to not get pushed back by the sand. Here we have another sandstorm that pushes Mega Man along. Riding on Rush just makes it that much more fun and easy. Don't have to kind of stop being in the air, and you can just ride the whole thing out.
Yep. Now into the Commando Man boss fight. Commando Man has a interesting property or glitch, depending on how you look at it, where on certain jumps, he doesn't have any iframes while he's in the air. So normally you'd only be able to hit him once every 20 frames, but as you just saw, BT landed 2 hits with the wheel cutter, when he was doing that shorter jump.
New here at the beginning of Commando Man Say, I just want to call out using a little bit of an alternate strat. You saw BT, I think, used the water shield to take out those sort of missile bomber type enemies. New was using a solar blaze, kind of letting it hover in the air and then advancing so that by the time they dropped down, they were the same height as the blaze as it kind of split and took out the entire horizontal row of the screen. No real difference to those strats in terms of time. It's one of the things that makes Commando Man kind of nice. There's a lot of different ways to just get through this stage. It's a fairly easy stage. It's a nice break in the run before you get to Blade Man stage. Oh god, Blade Man stage.
It's filled with spikes aplenty. Make a mistake, and the odds are even that you're dead.
A lot of weapon swapping too, because on this first screen you're seeing Buster, Solar Blaze, Pump Shields to chill spikes to take out the spines on the ground, Nitro with the wheel to kind of climb up these walls fast. And here on this screen, BT's about to have to make some 4-tile wide jumps, which is just painful. He makes it look easy, and I love him for it. But those jumps are actually really tight, and of course, if you miss, you're over spikes.
Yes, I believe that...
Wait, he's got to validate the run here. You have to get the rush coil jumps in. You absolutely have to. It does absolutely nothing for your time. It just looks really cool.
Yeah, just a bit of a tech update on those 4-tile jumps. You have, depending on subpixels, either a 4-frame window or a 5-frame window to jump. If you don't hit that, then spikes happen.
One more jump for good measure. I think he's going to try and ride Rush Jet all the way to the end. You can, of course, kind of get off Rush Jet. There's a few different things you can do in this stage to make it easier. You can ride Rush Jet through the first section, but then you need to get the large drop to have enough energy for the second section. You can not ride Rush Jet through the entire thing there and do something else to deal with the spiders. There are options. In Blade Man, you really only have one thing you want to do. You want to hit him with these commando bombs. You can change the direction of the bombs with the D-pad, which makes them a little bit of fun trying to move while they're in the air. But much like Chill Spike, where you don't want to hit with the direct shot, you don't want to hit with the missile itself, you want to hit with the explosion after the missile. It is possible to land double hits on Blade Man, but as long as you're hitting him with the explosion, not the missile, you should be fine.
Yeah. There are only a handful of pixels you can hit to get the double hits, but since you need a total of 6 hits from the explosion to win the fight, each double hit can, depending on the pattern Blade Man gives you, cut maybe 2 or 3 seconds out of the fight.
New used Rush Jet through the first section of Blade Man, so we'll see how he reacts to the second section. As BT is starting Strike Man stage, I do want to just call it again. This is a showcase race getting ready for the Mega Man 10 tournament starting in about 2 weeks. Signups are still open if you love Mega Man 10, if you want to get into Mega Man speedrunning. Honestly, just let us know, and we can get you signed up and get the link out there in a little bit. Yeah, Strike Man, notably the stage in this game where there are no instant death traps. If you die in the stage, it was damage.
Strike Man stage, you have, well, a lot of different ways to be damaged. There are these annoying little ball dispenser enemies that have these different projectiles constantly bouncing about. There are these Gaio Ball enemies where if you hit them, they'll stop in place and fire a bunch of projectiles. Yeah, the stage is out to kill you through a very slow and painful method. But currently, BT is cruising through the stage. You're just using a couple of solar blazes to get through that room. Yeah,
this stage, the bully fights are super annoying, but he probably made short work of them with the commando bombs. These soccer balls have their strats to get rid of them faster, but you're seeing just a lot of weapon usage. We're late enough in the run where we have almost the full arsenal at our disposal to use. So there's a lot of different things you can use to avoid things. And then Strike Man himself, we actually get to start seeing Blade get used. Blade itself is actually a really cool weapon. You're already seeing it's got that triple shot kind of effect going on. Much like in Mega Man 9, it was the Magma Bazooka. In this game, if you hit with all the blades in the shot, you're going to do damage with all the blades in that shot, at least most of them. And it's just sort of the universal backup for that reason. Then, of course, it's Strike Man's actual weakness as well. So good weapon versus a robot master. Easy fight.
Yeah, I believe it has a property where it resets iframes. So you can do this thing where if you fire a triple blade, then quickly switch to Buster, which conveniently happens to be located right next to the blade on the weapon wheel. Then you can kind of just get him 3 damage in half a second. It's ridiculous.
So BT missing a couple of shots on the mouse pointer here. Not sure what's going on there. Do robots dream of electric sheep?
Well, I guess the question is less of do they dream of them and more of do they fall asleep while thinking of them. Though I suppose that depending on how you think about it, that's just another method of dreaming.
I'm going to assume that was going deeper down the reference hole than I know to go.
Yeah.
But this is Sheepman stage. It's a cool stage, actually. It's got a lot of these kind of disappearing blocks, a lot of spikes here and there, but it's more of a sort of pseudo-puzzle stage. It also has, if you love the goalies, you must love Octobulb. That was Octobulb. That's the very short version of the Octobulb fight. That's the version you want to see. The game kind of wants you to get onto blocks after running the treadmill to generate electricity, and it is painful and slow, and don't do it. So that timing for the commando bomb is pretty tight, but once you get it, that fight just ends. Here, Sheepman, we promised you that there would be reasons we got rushed yet and did these stages last. There's the first appearance of the disappearing and reappearing so-called Yoku blocks in Mega Man 10. Sheepman is the stage that got him. So we don't want to deal with that. We're just going to use Jet. Little coil there at the very end to kind of help out. There's supposed to be some disappearing and reappearing blocks there, but we don't want to wait for those.
Yeah, Yoku blocks tend to be the enemy of speed in Mega Man games because they're cycle-based and you often have to wait for them to show up or disappear depending on the game. Anyways,
BT says he does not have an explanation for what happened at the beginning of the stage.
Yeah, that was a bit rough. Anyways, the Rebound Striker, as I was going to say, has a unique property where it can bounce off walls a maximum of 5 times, and each time it bounces off a wall, it gains power. It gains a slight amount of power. So, if you just hit Sheepman straight on with the Striker, it'll deal 3 damage. But if you bounce it around a total of 5 times, then you'll deal a whopping 8 damage.
Yeah, I believe it does an extra point of damage every time it bounces off a wall. To what you were saying, it's absolutely true. You kind of want to just bounce shots around, even when you're standing in front of him on the ground, just hold down to bounce a shot off the floor to get that extra point of damage in every time. Sheepman himself gives us a weapon that I would put right up there with Hyper Bomb and Power Stone as one of the worst weapons in the entire series in Thunderwool. We might actually even see some Thunderwool later, and we can talk about how bad it is then. But on to Wily Castle, and actually we got to talk about RNG for a moment here. RNG in this game, and really like the Yoku blocks you're seeing in New Screen, is on a little bit of a global cycle, global timer from the beginning of the stage. I believe it even goes by just frame count. So if you can do something like get to a boss door without stopping and at a known period of time, you know what the pattern's going to be. So randomly, one of these robot archives is always going to be Elec Man if you know what you're doing.
Yep. And BT went for the cool kill where he used a wheel cutter to run up the side of the wall, then use a combination of Buster and the Triple Blade to quickly decimate, Wood Archive's health. An aspect of the wheel cutter that I forgot to mention earlier was that if you have one out and hold up against the wall, you can just run up the wall without having to do something like, say, take a ladder, another enemy of speed in a Mega Man game.
BT with the risky jump around the spikes, but he nails it. It is worth pointing out here as we're approaching the second robot archive. This is sort of a traditional Mega Man game where when you're in the Wily Castle stages, you will not be getting weapon energy back between stages. That said, we will be getting an M-Tank later, so drops aren't necessarily bad. Most of the time in Mega Man game as well, you see you don't want to get those drops. You want to keep going, keep going, keep going. But we're going to fill all that weapon energy back up again anyway. And I just completely talked over the Robot Archive 2. BT made short work of it. You can kind of see familiar-ish sort of weaknesses there. Ringman weak to some kind of fire-based weapon. I didn't realize Pharaoh was a fire-based weapon. Napalm to a orb that bounces around the room. Flame Man's weak to the water shield, which makes sense even though it's not wind, but we'll take it.
Yeah, they got a bit limited with their options. So sadly, not everyone could get a perfect weakness.
Should have brought in Centaur Man. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that would have been pretty fun. Just weak to spheres. Sounds good to me.
That works. So Blade is also kind of getting a lot of action in this stage because Blade, again, sort of universal backup. Also, you kind of see Blade. If you're in a jump, Blade will shoot down, which is useful for kind of taking some things out. It's just an immensely useful weapon. And the third Robot Archive is probably the most dangerous. It has our old nemesis from Mega Man 7, Slash Man, who a lot of people can attest to is just the worst to fight if you don't know what you're doing. Frost Man's actually dangerous because you don't have grenades, so you actually get to see the ice wave, unless you are on point and can take him out that fast with a commando bomb. Tornado Man, weak to electricity still. We don't have Plug. We do have Thunderwool. Thunderwool is awful, so we just use Blade as the universal backup. Yeah.
Another bad property about Thunderwool, besides the fact that it's really hard to hit an enemy with it, only the Thunderbolt deals damage. Not to mention the fact that it costs 4 energy to fire a single wall. There's also the problem where it has its own set of iframes, which take roughly 3 times longer than actual enemy iframes. So yeah, it's just all around a really bad weapon.
The first screen of Wily 2 is just insane, with some of these ice waves being tossed to take out the missiles popping out of pits. A rebound striker that's thrown all the way across a room to take out an enemy that's not even on screen yet. Here's what was it? Phoenix and Susie?
Suzak and Phoenix.
Suzak.
Oh no, looks like BT might have run into a bit of trouble. He may not have enough commando bombs for the boss.
Oh, we'll have the... Well, he has 2 options, depending on what his route plan is. We've got the M-Tank still. Octobulb is probably still worth using the commando bomb here.
Yeah, well, actually, he hasn't picked up the M-Tank yet, but...
Should be on the next... Oh, wait.
No, wait, he must be
not even touching it. Okay.
He must be going for the W-Tank route. Yeah.
You using Thunderwool. It works.
What a legend.
See, BT might have a little bit of ammo troubles here. We'll see how he reacts. There's 3 large drops at the end of the screen, but they're kind of annoying to get to. He also must really trust where he is in the stage. These pistons, again, are on a universal cycle, just like the Yoku blocks and a lot of other obstacles in this game. So if you trust where you are in the stage, you can just go for it.
Wait, BT didn't go for the refills. I think that after he uses this 1 remaining commando bomb, he might use the Thunderwool, because it's actually this boss's other weakness. No,
he's a little early there.
Yeah, he's using the W-Tank now.
And now switching to Blade, even Buster. Woo! I didn't realize Solar Blaze went through that. The claw, which you normally just flex shots. That's very nice.
Yeah, he definitely did a great job improvising there. I probably would have just panicked and done a bunch of Buster Blade camping.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things, you get into tournament races, you can't just say, whoops, I'm out of energy, and reset the game. You've got to finish somehow. So you get to see some improvisation happen.
Yeah, speaking of improvisation, he'll have a number of options as to do with his energy. As you just saw, he did get a blade refill, which, well, in theory it could help with the backups, but it sees most of its uses in Wily 1 and 2.
Yep. There's a handful of drops throughout the stage. Not a ton. Of course, the refight stage does open with a bunch as well. That can help him out. One dangerous thing about this room that you may not realize looking at it, those spikes actually count as solid platforms. It's not just the instant death you have to worry about. Even if you're in iframes, if the platform raises you into them, you will get crushed and die that way. So that room is... both elevator rooms in the stage are just nerve-wracking.
They truly are. Meanwhile, this underwater room is pretty laden with spikes, but once again, Rush Jet to the rescue.
Make the call.
Yep, I believe he grabbed a refill for Wheel Cutter, probably for its utility of scaling walls.
Yeah, Wheel Cutter, I agree that Wheel Cutter is great. It is a pro nuuu heading to dodge that piston.
Yeah, that was close.
Yeah. Wheel Cutter is at least a cheap weapon. You do need a few of it, though. You need to still take out Commando Man. You want to climb a few walls. You want to climb a few walls in Wily 5. We'll talk about that more when we get there.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, BT will be doing a trick where, by using a combination of Rush Coil and Wheel Cutter, he can skip to the top of the room and go through the door right as it activates. There is a variant of the trick in the first elevator room, but it is extremely hard to... And if you botch it, it might end in death, depending on where you messed up.
Yeah, he did pull off in the first room a coil onto Jet, so he was at least kind of above the platform and further to the right than he possibly, or probably was intended to be, so he saved a little bit of time. Meanwhile, Block Devils.
Yeah, Block Devil has a scripted pattern. These blocks come in the same way each time. This also means that, because its weakness is the rebound striker, the fight is essentially scripted so long as you execute properly. He can move up or down there, but as long as your rebound striker shots are tight enough, then he won't really have any resistance to put up. He's just toast.
Yeah, BT kind of taking him out before he really had a chance to move at all. The far left tile, I believe, there's only 3 blocks you have to jump over, and you can otherwise just stand there. You do have to move to then, like, kind of set up the beginning of that sequence of shots, but that'll be that. And BT is picking up some drops here.
Yeah, he got a solar refill. He'll need that. He'll need a full tank for what's coming up. It's the weakness of the Wily machine and the Chill Man, and there'll be one more refill. Yeah, he went for rebound.
Yeah, so let's see. He's gonna go to Strike Man first. Probably, I guess, just use Blade against its intended target right away, just in case he wants to use it as a backup, I guess.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter which one you fight first. If you are, there are routes that use the M tank after taking out a couple of Robot Masters, just so you have some more endgame weapons. Here's Thunderwool against its intended target. That is hopefully the only time you ever see it, just like Power Stone. Only ever want to see Power Stone against Charge Man.
True. There actually was one time when I dealt the finishing hit to Wily Machine with Thunderwool. Don't tell anyone.
Alright, I'll keep it a secret. It's safe with me. Nobody highlight this video.
Please.
So yeah, besides Pump Man having an actual weakness this time, or at the very least Blade, every other fight is pretty much the same. Kind of like you were alluding to, though, you do want to make sure, notably, Water Shield and Solar Blaze are the weaknesses for the Wily Machine phases. So you want to keep an eye on how much of them you actually use. Looks like we've got a full supply of Water Shield, so BT is going to be just fine there, we hope.
Yeah. He's also going to try and use his few commando bombs as possible. And, uh-oh, looks like the fight got away from him. I think he still has a couple left over, though.
Yeah, only need a couple, I think, for the manip. Forget if it's 2 or 3.
I believe it's, well, it depends on what kind of manip you're doing. There are multiple variants. But, yeah, really clean Shellman killed there. And he'll need every last one of those blazes, along with some triple blades, on the occasion that he runs out to deal with the Wily machine. But we'll get to that later.
One other bit of trivia here, if you were paying attention, the robot's teleporters are actually laid out the same as the stage select.
It took Capcom 10 games and just shy of 25 years to figure out, hey, what if we make the title screen the same as the refights? Anyways, BT's and Wily machine. This first phase is not that complicated. He'll shoot out platforms for you to stand on to damage the weak point, the skull. And just like that, BT's already on to phase 2. Where the weakness is the water shield. Each bubble deals 3 damage. And you're going to want to use a rush coil to hop up there, get in 3 hits, then go back down. You can do that to a total of 9 hits, which adds up to a total of 27 damage, leaving just one more hit to take. One more hit from anything, really, to take the Wily machine out if executed perfectly.
Yup.
He missed the last hit, but he still has one more shield, which should work for the manip. Speaking of the manip, would you like to talk about that, Cab?
I can talk about it a little bit. I think I vaguely know what's going on here, but much like in Wily 1, we talked about RNG and frames from the start of the stage. Sort of the same idea right here, where the Wily Capsule, we're used to Wily Capsule RNG, the house always wins. But what if we knew what the pattern was going to be and knew it was a good pattern at that? That's what we're trying to set up here. Using some nitro wheel to kind of know when we're jumping up walls to reduce the RNG of, well, when did I jump? How far did I jump? Using some commando bombs here and pump and water shield to not stop. So if all went well, we'll see Wily kind of pass an energy ball between himself and the fake twice against the sides of the screen. One of them will be especially long, and that's enough time to take out Wily.
Yeah, I believe that he got the manip, but there could be some tiny little bump that...
Nope.
Oh no. Oh. Yeah,
So-
that it's a frame-perfect entry to the boss door. You need to do the entire stage perfectly.
Oh no. Fortunately, the only thing you lose is time. It's not like the patterns are especially dangerous to avoid, like Mega Man 7's. He's using a lot of chill spike here, though.
Don't think he'll have enough. Going back to Buster, and they're at roughly 35.5 minutes.
So get the GGs out to BT for this Mega Man 10 tournament showcase race. New kind of wrapping things up here into the Solar Man fight. He'll be done pretty soon. While he's wrapping up, I just want to say again, this is for the Mega Man 10 tournament. Signups are still open. If you like this game, maybe you want to play this game as Proto Man or Base, but this is a Mega Man tournament, get in here. It's a lot of fun. Get the link out there in chat. Signups are still open for one more week. Tournament should be starting about another week after that. And we'll have a lot of fun. So keep an eye out for it on the SpeedGaming schedule. We'll be having all the races here on SpeedGaming as much as we can. And Mega Man is fun, so we hope to see you there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it appears that nuuu had a different experience with weapon energy through the Wily stages. So, looks like he'll have enough water shield to do this fight. Mostly not fight. And, oh, he doesn't have any water shield left. He may be going for a variant of the manip that doesn't use any water shield.
So yeah, anything that can get you through here. There's a few different variants on how this manip works because there's a few different frame rules, even though it's one frame rules.
Yes,
That will work for it.
imagine Dr. Wily's hovercraft is leaving for the space station, but it only leaves every 21 frames.
Legally required to compare it to a bus stop.
Yep.
Sort of here, I believe that one is mostly because, you know, when do you start pushing down on the ladder? You can buffer a lot of inputs in this game, whether it's climbing down a ladder like that. At the start of a stage, even when Mega Man beams in, you can hold jump. It saves, I think, about 6 frames every time you do that. And of course, you beam into a bunch of stages, so 60 frames a second, you save 6 frames. How many stages are there? It's a free 2 or 3 seconds is what we're getting at.
13 in total.
Yeah. Start adding in the walk startup animation at the top of ladders, and that number just goes up.
Yeah. Anyways, let's see if nuuu got the manip. I think he got it.
I'm not sure how much damage is involved in getting the manip, but this looks like it. This is what you want to see from Wily. There's a couple of patterns. Maybe that was a little shorter than we would have liked, so he's going to be 1 shot short.
Still should have enough chill left to deal with finishing. And there.
Very nice from nuuu, finishing up in 38.47. BT, I think, had about a 35 according to nuuu's timer.
Yeah, about a 35-30.
So that about kind of wraps things up. Again, Mega Man 10 is great, although I think we might have BT here. Just give me a moment here. Hello, BT.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thanks for coming out here. Thanks for helping us show off the Mega Man 10 run.
Yeah, my pleasure. That wasn't, I have to admit, it wasn't in top 5 of my best runs ever, but yeah, it was kind of average for me at least. But hopefully that showed some of the potential that Mega Man 10 has. It's top 6 run, if that's correct. Definitely.
Sorry, just handling some back-end stuff.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. By the way, an interesting question. What was going through your head right after there was a little trouble with the commando bombs on the birds fight in Wily 2?
Yeah, just a little trouble. It was kind of a terrible mistake to make. Namely, I got the manip, the Wily 2 birds manip, I got the pattern that I wanted, but I was standing too close to the wall when trying to kill the right bird, so instead of killing the bird, I just blew all the commando bombs into the wall and I lost all the bombs. I didn't kill the bird, I lost the manip, I lost 1 cycle, and then my plan was to tank solar, using my W tank on solar instead of commando, but since I was out of commando, I had to use my tank on commando, and then I lost more time in Wily 4 because of that, because I didn't have solar for machine 1, so...
And we were going back and forth wondering what your backup strat was going to end up being, and then I didn't realize you were going to not get the M tank.
Yeah, I started experimenting with the W tank route. It's a pretty old route. Chlorid was running it back in 2014. It's a fun route. It's definitely more risky, but the best part about this route is the fact that I have, let's say I have maybe 8 different scenarios in my head, what weapons I will be missing going into Wily 3 and Wily 4, and I have different approaches to some of the fights. I'll be using different weapons, I'll be using perhaps different strats, and depending on my ammo count. And then, for example, my approaches, they will change depending on the amount of drops that I will get in Wily 1 or 2 or 3, the random drops. So like this makes this route really interesting. In the end, it doesn't save that much time compared to the M tank, realistically, it probably saves like 1 second, maybe 2 seconds when you get actually a good drop RNG. But yeah, it still makes this run more interesting, and this is why I wanted to try it.
I definitely appreciate that. I definitely also like another Mega Man game out there that you're counting on drop lucks in the castle stages to kind of determine what you're gonna do. You have to kind of be ready for anything. It definitely keeps the run fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I read that there's actually a tank-less route where if you're feeling like you want to make your own Wily Casino in Mega Man 10, you can just use no tanks at all and just hope you get a bunch of large drops at properly timed intervals. I think it can save like 15 to 20 seconds if Dr. Light decides to smile upon you.
15 or 20 is probably a big overestimate, because in the end you still have to get a bunch of drops to refill the weapons that you need for the run, and essentially when you're using W tank or M tank and you are refilling those weapons instead of actually picking up drops, the amount of time that you have to spend refilling those drops is essentially the same. Perhaps you'll only save time because, for example, you don't have to refill coil, and when you are using M tank you have to refill all your weapons. So since you are skipping those extra refills that you don't need, then you're saving time, but honestly you'll save, assuming godlike RNG, maybe you'll save, I don't know, 2-3 seconds over M tank. I'm completely guessing. I don't think it's ever been timed, especially since this route is pretty unreliable. Right? That's a difficult wall. Yeah, it's pretty much impossible to finish a run with this route, with tankless route. Hoping for like 4 big drops in a stage.
The only thing I could think of, I think for a little bit someone was experimenting with the 3 large drops at the end of Wily 2, kind of under the platform. But even like you were kind of saying, going to get some of these drops that are in out of the way places, you end up spending almost as much time as just get the tanks.
Yeah, exactly. Chloride was doing that strat. He was actually picking up ammo at the end of Wily 2, and he covered all the refills, I believe, in that refill station, because you have 3 big drops there. And I decided to try something else. Essentially, I'm hoping for 1 big refill to refill Water Shield in Wily 1. And if I have that, then I will pick up... I have some refills in Wily 3 and 4 instead, that I think they are faster. So yeah, I'm still experimenting with this route.
Well, you definitely proved some mastery of the game there, and definitely didn't get too flustered with the run, especially after losing all those commando bombs, like you were saying.
Yeah. I have some scenarios written down, essentially like 80 different scenarios, and I try to... I just know what I need, I think I know. Sometimes I don't. It's hard to count ammo on the spot, like during Blade Refight.
Yeah. So I guess little more D-Rust over the next couple of weeks. Make sure you get that first screen of Sheepman worked out.
Oh yeah. I have to. Yeah, I'll practice it definitely. You have to shoot Buster 3 times. That's hard.
And we'll see you in the tournament.
Yeah. See ya.
So yeah, again, I'll get the link here. That's the link to our sign-up form for the tournament. That's open for about another week. And after that, we will, sometime the next week, start getting the brackets together and have matches starting hopefully in 2 Fridays. We'll see when that first race gets itself scheduled. But they will be here on the SpeedGaming family of networks, so keep your eyes out for Mega Man 10. That's all I have. Missed it. Anything else you want to throw in here?
Nothing that immediately comes to mind.
Okay, and with that, I think we're going to say goodnight. Thanks, everybody, for watching this showcase race between nuuu and BT. Keep your eyes out for that Mega Man tournament. Like I've probably said too many times by now, but I'm saying it again. Watch for Mega Man 10 tournament. Mega Man 10 is a good game. If you have any interest in Mega Man 10, or if you just want to be part of the Mega Man community, run one of the other classic Mega Man games. We're always welcoming new runners. All skill levels are welcome. We'll have a lot of fun. With that, I think we're gonna click the magic end episode button and say goodnight.
Yeah, and one quick thing to say. Try checking out the Mega Man 10 soundtrack on your spare time. It has a few really underrated tunes.
That's also
all.
true. Shouts to Nitro Man. Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.